I'm Eric.
And I'm Jaime.
And this is Horrorscope, a podcast for people who love horror movies.
And people who want to love them. All right, Eric. Are you ready?
For some space? Ooh.
I am ready. I've been thinking about Annihilation a lot lately, which is probably a bad sign. What are we watching?
We're watching Event Horizon.
Ooh, Eric is really... You want to try that one more time, too?
Yeah, I lost my voice there. Event Horizon. Event Horizon. Event Horizon. I just want to run it through so you can pick them later. Event Horizon.
I pulled the old Annabelle switcheroo on Eric today.
I have like a rogues gallery of research ready to go, awaiting. I don't know if they're going to come back and haunt us in some way, like manifest.
Oh, I don't want to hear that. I mean,
like
we'll watch
Mandy
him eventually.
and Annabelle and...
Watch him eventually. I just didn't want to... The movie we will watch soon that we were supposed to watch. I don't want to be... I don't think this movie is going to be actually scary. I think it's just going to be fucking wild. Is my hope. Fingers crossed.
We will see.
Have you seen this movie?
I know about it a lot, and I've seen parts, but I've never...
That's not a yes. You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, shit. Okay, then we're on the same page about this one. Because I've read the plot of this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't really remember it.
Yeah.
I remember, like, 2 things that happened, so...
I feel like you brought this movie up early on in the podcast that you wanted to watch it. And, like, the reason why we didn't watch it right away was because there was rumors, because this movie has, like, a legendary, like, lost footage deal.
That's right.
And then Scream Factory, a republisher, remastering company for a lot of old movies, were like, oh, we found a lead, we're going to do it. And then the entirety of this podcast, they've been trying to find it. And then they came back, like, a few months ago. They're like, actually... It's gone for good. And that release came out this week. So actually it came out on Blu-ray this week.
Okay, that works just fine. That story, isn't it like in a castle? Weren't the like film strips in the walls of a castle?
They were found in a salt mine, I believe, in like Transylvania.
That is the craziest fucking Transylvania?
Yeah.
Okay,
or something.
I want to hear more about this weird fucking movie, but I should probably read the wiki, huh?
Mm-hmm. All
right. Event Horizon is a 1997 science fiction horror film directed by Paul W.S. Anderson and written by Philip Eisner. It stars Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Catherine Quinn Lane, and Jolie Richardson. It's set in 2047. How old will we be in 2047?
Don't answer that question.
Why?
I don't want to know about that. I don't like it.
Ooh, okay.
I don't like that. Jamie, oh no, I'm going into the Event Horizon as we speak.
Okay, we'll be...
Jamie, please.
No, we'll be, how old are we now? This is 27 years, this is 26 years from now. We'll be 50? So that means Lawrence Fishburne's a little zoomer right now.
He's our age.
Interesting.
We still have a chance.
Okay. Set in 2047. It follows a crew of astronauts set on a rescue mission after a missing spaceship, the Event Horizon, spontaneously appears in orbit around Neptune. Here's what I'll say. If you're on a rescue mission in space, don't go. Quit your job.
Really sucks for the person who needs to be rescued. Like, I would, like, send out my
Honestly, quit your job, though.
I'd be like, hey, by the way, I need rescue. This isn't demons or aliens in space.
I'm just like a dude. Please help me.
I just ran out of gas. I saw the emergency light on. I thought I had a few extra miles, and I was wrong.
I need a jump start. Help me.
I have a flat spaceship.
If it goes in a black hole. Ooh. Searching the ship for signs of life, the rescue crew learns that the Event Horizon was a test bed for an experimental engine that opened a rift in the space-time continuum and left our universe entirely, allowing a malvoyant entity to possess the ship. That's kind of spoilies a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit of spoilies. Okay,
we'll see. We'll watch. I feel like we're gonna watch the movie and then somebody like immediately it's like it's demons.
Yeah, this is a weird one because it's like a weird paranormal-ish crossover. I feel like it's as paranormal as space movies get, right?
Yes, there is like a subgenre that this movie surrounds. I feel like it's primarily in like video games of like demons in space because you have Doom. Doom franchise.
I didn't know Doom was in space.
Yeah, it takes place on Mars originally.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of the other one. I'm thinking of Dark Souls.
Okay.
It's all the same, isn't it? Uh-oh. Don't come for me.
You decide, listener, how much you care about this.
Okay, Doom.
Dead Space.
That's right. I thought those were aliens, though. Those are demons?
Doom is demons. Dead Space is kind of demon. Yeah, it's demons. It's like necromagic.
Ooh, space wizards.
I love that subgenre. I love the subgenre of like religion and space is like a really cool, I think, idea and like executed well.
Did you watch Battlestar Galactica?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, maybe we should watch it. We should watch it with the gang.
Just
fun, casual watch.
I need a new show to watch other than Survivor, Jamie. So I'm down. I guess I have to watch Battlestar Galactica instead of Survivor
in its entirety.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
So that's where this is. What I don't remember how we got on this topic.
We're talking about religion and space. Yeah, I think I'm into that too. I guess we'll find out. Tell me about this weird movie.
Director Paul W.S. Anderson, not Paul Thomas Anderson, who's another director.
Yeah, what's his deal? Has he just made this?
Paul W.S. Anderson has an interesting career. You might know some of his movies, like the original Mortal Kombat movie in the 90s.
Uh-oh. Is it good?
It's very cheesy. I very much enjoy it.
Okay.
It's very dumb.
Okay, good.
Alien vs. Predator.
Oh, no.
Which I also enjoy and is very dumb. The Resident Evil franchise is his
big
claim to fame.
Whoa, really? Yeah. Okay, I was adjacent to that, being a Matrix fan.
That makes sense.
Similar energy, but I wasn't allowed to watch them.
Yeah, a little bit too.
The forbidden fruit. It's the Resident Evil movies.
I have a bad news for you. You're gonna be like, finally, I'm an adult. I can watch the Resident Evil movies, and guess what, Jamie? They're bad. You'd be like, I was jealous
I'll
of
only
this.
see it with my own eyes.
Oh,
I'll only believe it then.
And then he just came out with a movie last year based off the video game Monster Hunter.
Whoa, wait, with the big old monsters?
Yeah.
That's a video game?
Yes.
Where it's like big ass monsters and you have to capture them?
I think so. I've never played them.
Okay, yeah, I've heard about that. For a second I thought you were talking about the Monster Trucks movie. Do you know what I'm talking
about? Yeah, it's like, this monster truck has a monster in it. I am shocked, Hollywood. Shocked it took you so long to come up with that idea.
We should watch that movie.
For the podcast?
No, just for fun.
Just for fun?
I thought that's what you were talking about for like a second. I was like, oh no.
No. This guy Paul W.S. Anderson loves to adapt prior properties. That is his shtick.
I respect that.
It's a good shtick.
Yeah.
If he does it right. I feel like Event Horizon's the only movie he's done that's like, people can correct me.
And what a film.
And what a film to go on. Because this is actually shocking because of the trajectory of this journey for this director is fascinating. Because he made Mortal Kombat in 1995. Huge hit. People loved it. It's a fun movie. It's PG-13. It cuts out most of the gore and stuff. So it's just a fun time. And then he was offered a bunch of movies afterwards. He's offered the X-Men franchise, because I was right when they were trying to develop that.
Oh my god, that's the good timeline.
Where he gets it versus
yes.
Yes.
Wow.
And a few other things, and he was just like, no, I want to make a rated R horror movie.
And what a movie he makes.
And then he's like, give me the scripts. Get me Spider-Man.
So if you guys don't, I know we're gonna watch the movie, but this movie is like batshit insane. I feel like that is mostly what I know about this movie, is that it's like crazy. There's like body horror. There's like weird demon shit. They're in space. There's like, it's just a very wild time.
It's a good idea. I'm surprised they haven't tried to do it. I mean, I guess they did. There was that one movie.
Sunshine, right?
Sunshine, but that's not.
It's like similar.
It's Pandora.
Interstellar.
Actually, no. Interstellar has a scene from this movie in it.
No way. What do you mean? Did they watch it?
No, they do the same. They explain a concept of space, and they do the exact same explaining from this movie. Which I don't know if that's just like a broad way that science explains it.
Oh my god, it's the same universe.
Suddenly they're just like,
Interstellar is the prequel to Event Horizon. It's the same.
Demons are out. Matthew McConaughey shows up crying about his daughter.
Oh, no.
Matt Damon's there suddenly, of course.
I would love that.
I feel like this is done to age poorly, but I feel like Matt Damon is just like circling that drain. Like, he's doing good, and he seems like a nice guy, but he's like friends with Ben Affleck, who's complicated. He associates himself with a lot of complicated people. I'm like,
sometimes listening back to the podcast or like editing, you know, on Reddit how you can do like remind me 6 months. I like want to do that. It's like, remind me. Like, we'll see how that goes.
Anyways, but we're not talking about Matt Damon. We're talking, surprisingly, Talking Matt is a different podcast. Paul W.S. Anderson. He found this script by Philip Eisner, and really dug it. The concept that was pitched was like a haunted house in space.
I love that. I do love that very much.
That's like the pitch that sells me on anything. You just say a haunted house blank and I'm sold. A haunted house in a haunted house. Love
Done.
It. Done. I'll watch it.
House of Leaves. Done. Done, bitch. A haunted house in a book. In a book. In a book. House of Leaves
House
again.
Of Boom. A haunted house in a house of wax. Pretty good.
What does that even mean?
It's a haunted house in a house of wax.
Eric, so we were gonna watch that other movie, and I just wanted to like revel in some like wild shit because I needed to.
Jamie's not have a religious experience watching this.
I hope
space
not.
religion
Jesus
movie.
Christ! I hope I
Some revelations.
No, I don't want Jesus Christ here. Never
Ah.
mind. I rescind that. I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's actually time that we introduce our special guest today, Jesus Christ. We met on.
We've said some shit on this podcast. I don't know if we can say that. I feel like this movie, I hope it's not. I've heard it described as you just feel like terrible after watching it, like Hereditary. But I feel like we aren't going to feel that way.
Well, if you ever, we'll just.
Because we're stupid. We're just going to power through.
Can't get through this, baby.
No, Eric's pointing at his temple. It's a steel trap for our one brain cell.
We got like so many guards around the. My so one brain cell's like
stupid.
Like in the X-Men movies where Magneto's in like the plastic box hovering over the.
Oh, no.
And occasionally I come up in my wheel trip. I'm like, "Hello, old friends."
Those are our brain cells talking to each other. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're stupid enough to not be moved. We'll see.
We'll see. Prove us wrong, so. Paul W.S. Anderson. So he found the script, liked the idea. It was originally called The Stars, My Destination.
That sucks.
That
sounds like someone's fucking journal. They're like, oh, I went to space. It's like Elon Musk is little, is like his manifesting mood board. That's what that sounds like.
Give it a few years and he's going to roll out a program called that.
Oh my god, I thought you were going to say he's going to make the Event Horizon.
Maybe, if anybody was going to do it.
That would be such a good concept for a sci-fi movie.
What?
It's like an Elon Musk knockoff, like actually opens up like a black hole or something.
That's kind of the plot to Alien vs. Predator.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of a combo of like this maybe and like Repo. Like the future where everyone's in like indentured space servitude.
Repo
the genetic opera. Yeah. And it's a musical.
I'm down. I'm Space Hell musical?
Yeah, I'm down. It's called Space Hell Musical.
Space Hell Musical. I mean...
Wait, that sounds really good.
That sounds
okay,
really
we're cutting it. Okay.
Alright, so he found the script, liked it. It was like inspired by like Warhammer 40k. That's what the writers said.
No way, really?
Yeah, because they got space portals and that also has Space Hell kind of stuff going.
Nice. Okay.
It's all cool.
I'm like adjacent to that. I feel like if I just ping in one direction, I'm going to be really into Warhammer, so I'm trying not to.
That, I mean, the only reason I'm not is because I like money and I like not spending it.
Yeah, you have a lot of expensive hobbies.
Yeah.
AKA comics. I'm looking at your bookshelf of comics
not that
behind
expensive if you know where to look. Thrift books.
I bet better than Warhammer.
Yeah. Super expensive. Also, have I ever watched hour-long lore dumps? Of course. But it was like part 1 of 20, and it's like 4 hours, so you know what you're going to do. But Paul W.S. Anderson liked it, thought it was a little too close to Alien, our good old friend Alien.
That's a good sign.
So he heavily rewrote this.
Oh.
Threw in a lot more of the religious elements, wanted to do a lot more of like the body horror. He's very, I think... I didn't find any direct quotes, but everyone's pretty much like, yeah, Hellraiser influenced this. Like, this is Hellraiser.
Oh, we gotta watch Hellraiser soon. Yeah.
It's fun. If you can make it through seeing some of the quick gory shots that are in this movie, you're like, oh, that's...
I did the Jaime classic.
Oh?
I watched a compilation of stuff in this movie.
Oh.
I've watched it before.
Perfect.
I think I've only seen the eyeball part.
Okay.
But that's pretty stupid.
So, he got the script. They're like, great, we got this hot new director. Let's make this movie. Also... You have 10 weeks to make the whole thing.
Whoa!
So, like, get it together, to film it.
They have to build a spaceship set.
They gotta build a spaceship, yeah. It's insane.
This is not a movie you can just film.
Right.
Uh-oh. Okay, what happened?
So it was rushed. They were editing the movie while they were still filming it.
Oh, no.
And it was all because they were trying to beat Titanic. It's crazy to me how, like, when you start reading this story, it's like, hot new director. studio finally gets him to work on a project. And then they utterly screw him over, take full control over his movie, rush it out. They show it to a test audience.
Oh no, this movie?
Before it's even finished, and they hate it, and they're like, all right, and then they chopped it up, and then they showed it again, and people still hated it. And then it kind of just got dumped out into the world as it is.
No.
It was like over 2 hours, and it ends up being, I think, 1 hour and 30 minutes.
What version is this then? What version is the one we're watching?
So they pretty much came out with a release after several edits. There's the first edit where there's the first cut, and then they edited it. And then he came back in, and then he added some stuff back in there. Okay. And that's the one we're seeing.
Okay, but where does the Transylvanian salt mine come into this?
So a huge amount, about like 30 minutes or more of this movie is lost forever, pretty much.
Oh, shit.
Because there is the audience didn't like all the gore in it, and they found it a little bit boring.
There's like a murder orgy in this movie?
It's called the blood orgy scene, as it's deemed.
Oh, no!
It's not necessarily that, but it's just like how the moniker has been given.
Oh my god, what if it's that for 30 minutes on the lost tapes, and then they're like, we're just gonna leave these in the salt mine, dude. We're just gonna let them go. We can let this go.
That stuff I could take or leave. I don't care. But like there is like apparently like exposition of like explaining what's going on that they just were like, this doesn't need to be in there.
Oh no.
And so the final product is kind of a mess.
Can you believe I literally forgot about that scene until we just started talking about it?
That is crazy.
Oh yeah, there's like the
blood orgy.
The blood orgy.
There's so many of those other movies. Forget about them.
Oh no, I'm getting nervous talking about it.
But to what I was trying to say earlier, the good news is that this final project does not have the blood orgy in it. It has quick zoom fast shots because the studios were all afraid of it.
Oh, is that the version we're watching?
Yeah, all the blood orgy stuff, all the exposition stuff is lost forever. They didn't take care of the film properly, and so the film degraded, and then they were trying to find reels. Okay,
so it's not even in the movie that exists anywhere.
No. That's what Scream Factory was trying to do. They're trying to find that footage because they thought they had a new lead.
Oh, okay. I thought that was in this. So it's still in here as a plot element, but it's not like shown.
It is in here a lot. Some of the scenes are cut, and then the scenes that are shown are like done in that like Saw style where it's like sped up and it's really quick, so you can't really like.
Ew, no! That sounds really dumb. Okay.
Yeah. I watched the clip. I did pull up that clip.
Oh, you're a legend. Okay, good. It was alright.
It was just like I'm like even Jaime doesn't have object awareness. She's not gonna be able to understand.
You're right. That's so funny. If you guys don't know, I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but I have like horrible spatial awareness. Not like when I'm around other people, but I cannot visualize things mentally. I'm bad at like geometry, lost on me. So if you're showing me like stuff on a screen and it's weird, I probably won't get it. So bless your heart, Eric.
That's what I'm assuming. And you're just gonna be like, wait, what? What the fuck is?
I'm like, is that a penis? Okay, we'll see. What if I'm like, I see all? Like I see everything.
I look around and you look like Sam Neill with all his. Oh, okay.
Who is Sam Neill? I don't even know who that is.
Sam Neill is a New Zealand actor who was in the hit movie Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. Okay, he looks like Jason Bateman, kind of.
Yeah.
Similar vibes, right?
A little bit more of a... Does this mean like more of a square head?
No, it's not. I was going to say that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
He's great. I've seen him in a few things. He's in that movie Possession that we've talked about before.
Ooh, okay.
So, yeah. I didn't like... Because he was always the Jurassic Park guy to me. But then the more I watch movies, I'm like, oh, there he is.
Is he the guy who takes his sunglasses off?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's also in one of Taika Waititi's movies, and that's when I found out he's New Zealand.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Oh, what movie?
The Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh shit! Okay.
Very good movie. Okay. So Sam Neill, cool guy.
Okay. And is he our protagonist in this movie?
Lawrence Fishburne is our
You
protagonist.
love to hear it, dude.
Before Matrix, what a career!
Really?
Yeah, because Matrix was '99, I believe.
Here are the things I know about this movie: the ending. The blood orgy, and the fact that Lawrence Fishburne threw a bitch fit about the suits because the suits were like 100 pounds or something, right? Or like at least 75 pounds, and he was like, "We cannot fucking do this anymore with these suits." That's all I know about this movie.
And I would be terrified to ever be yelled at by Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh my god,
the man has a voice.
I'm thinking of use the ladies' room for Hannibal.
What?
What? All I was thinking about today too, getting ready for this risky. We're gonna watch this. I was like, our two options are Event Horizon or Blair Witch. I was like, risky.
There's always Annabelle.
She's always there.
She's
I thought about it. I thought about calling in the Vanguard, Annabelle, using the Horn of Gondor, and then Annabelle comes up.
Doctor Strange portals open up. It's just Annabelle walks out.
Jesus. Can she walk?
No, it's a dumb character. She just sits there menacingly.
We're never gonna watch Rose in 30 minutes.
No, it's good. We're pretty much done. That's all it is. Except this movie just was created, and then there was.
When did people start liking it?
Had a huge DVD release. That's where it got really good traction.
This feels like a DVD movie.
And that's when they were like, all right, let's make the director's cut. And then that's when they found out.
The salt mines. Fuck. Oh, no. Why were they in the salt mines? No one knows? Why did they go in Transylvania?
Yeah. That might be just like a tall tale.
I don't think so. It's not too many.
It might be preserved. Maybe it's like the preservation from like the moist, because it's like
didn't work.
Yeah, it definitely degraded the movies, but like I hate talking about that kind of stuff. I hate when I find out that like things just don't exist. When they're like,
really?
All the silent movies are pretty much gone. By the way, you can't watch them.
Oh no.
It's just like history.
You probably took the Library of Alexandria pretty hard, huh?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow, Jamie, what a pull.
That just seems like something that would upset you then.
No, yeah.
That's the one.
That's why I love watching like defunct like rides in amusement parks, because like I'll never be able to ride that, so it's just like cool to see it. I don't know, like it's like tragic. It's tragic that there's an experience out there that you'll never be able to like experience.
Dang, I've never thought about it. I don't feel that way though. I think I don't have room with my brain cell.
It's fine.
For pondering. So I'll just enjoy this as is.
That's actually...
Enjoy is a strong verb. We'll see.
That's where the lost footage actually is. It's in the Library of...
Alexandria? I thought you were going to say in my brain cell.
No. I got Library of Alexandria crossed with Bridge of Terabithia. I'm like, it's not Terabithia. Don't say Terabithia.
The Bridge of... Fuck! Can you guys tell? I'm trying to figure out while we're talking about how much of this I'm going to leave in. I kind of think all of it.
Oh, God.
I'm just going to let them ride through this experience with us.
This is preemptive to watching the movie, as people have called the hereditary situation. So we're, like, getting it out now.
Let's go into space hell.
But before we go there, we have to go to a different time of hell. Ooh. Tagline time.
I can't wait.
There's only 2 taglines for this one, and they are pretty much... They had one word in mind. And I want you to see if you could pick up what word they were really focused on, Jamie.
Got it. Okay.
All right, the first one. A haunted ship. A missing crew. An infinite evil.
Okay. All right.
All right. So they wrote that one. They're like, that's good. But let's use this word a little bit more. Infinite space. Infinite terror. That's the second one.
There's going to be another line.
No, it's just infinite space, infinite terror. In space, nobody can hear you. Infinite.
I'm thinking of, what is it? The fucking quote from Perks of Being a Wallflower. In that moment, we were infinite. Horizon. We gotta edit that.
I forgot that Perks of Wallflower ends with them in space hell.
Hey y'all, it is time for the content warnings for Event Horizon. This movie has body horror, gore, especially a lot of eye trauma, a graphic depiction of suicide, a brief but like you cannot make it out, but there's a scene of sexual assault, images of a burned person, and a ton of strobing lights throughout the entire movie. I know that you heard us talking about the blood orgy back there, but believe me when I say it is truly not that bad at all. It is really sped up. You barely have time to acknowledge the images that you're seeing. It's mostly just gross, but it is not devastating. It is not overwhelming. It is a little jarring, but I can say that I have already watched worse for this podcast, despite the lore and mysterious, appeal around the blood orgy footage. What we see, not too bad. That's why I mentioned the scene of sexual assault is in that scene, but you cannot make it out unless you watch the slowed down footage, which I don't think you will. If you want to, knock yourself out. Bad news, though. The suicide scene is pretty graphic, and it is wholly unnecessary in our opinion. It really took both of us aback. So if that is something that you are sensitive to, be careful with this movie. If you're watching along with us, you can fast forward through the scene where Dr. Weir sees his wife putting on lip liner. She's like getting ready. Skip that entire scene. You're not going to miss much. We briefly touch on the scene in our recap, but we don't get too in the weeds about the imagery that we see. I'm going to talk about suicide prevention for a little bit and our fund of the week that we're highlighting. So if that is something you just don't want to think about or talk about, just skip ahead. Skip the ad break. It's our job and it's your job to make the world a little less horrific however we can. So this week we are highlighting the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Their work is in funding scientific research, educating the public about mental health and suicide prevention, advocating for public policies in mental health and suicide prevention, and supporting survivors of suicide loss and those affected by suicide. That is their mission. We are going to link to them in the show notes. If you or someone you love is struggling with suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation, one resource available to you is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. You can also chat with someone if you're not up for a phone call on their website. Just know that if you're struggling and you're listening to this, at least 2 idiots with a podcast care about you and support you. Our next episode will be out April 16th. Okay, are you ready? Where we're going. You know what? Let's just get into it. Wow. What are your general feelings after that? I know we won't get into what we thought, but like, how's the vibe?
Like, overview? I don't know. That was pretty fun time. How about you?
We overcame it. It was not a world of nightmarish evil, as I'm looking at the bio and it says just now.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, kind of was expected for me from my unknowing Paul W. Anderson's work. I didn't think he had a true
Didn't
scary
think he
bone.
had it in him.
Didn't think he had a scary bone in him. Did I think he had it in him to add a Prodigy song at the end of his horror space movie? I did not, honestly. I should have saw that coming.
Okay. Wow. I really want to hear about this movie, but I have to recap it first.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually got spoilers. There's not too much to hear about, but yes.
Okay. So we start with the text overlay. Event Horizon is the name of a ship. It had gone missing. Apparently in 2015, we had our first moon colonization. That's interesting.
I haven't heard about it. Government. What are you trying to cover up?
They couldn't. No way. And then we are in 2047. There's a good practical effect of the ship in space. Eric said it has to be a mini, because then promptly we get bad CGI of like stuff floating in a tunnel in space. There's like a watch. There's just debris of humans, basically.
This is like the peak example of like a director's vision versus actual ability to execute.
Ooh, ouch.
But no, that's not. No, it's just too ambitious to be like everything's in zero G.
What if like Alex Garland made this movie?
Oh my god.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Pretty miserable, but it'd be pretty great.
It would be pretty great. This movie warrants a remake.
100%. Because the bones are there.
The footage that we saw of the tunnel with stuff in it, there's a man floating and screaming, and then it zooms in. This movie really enjoys zooming in through a mouth of someone. Mm-hmm. It does that a lot. It's very dumb. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's very late 90s.
Yeah.
You know, but it is Sam Neill. What is his name? I'm going to call him Weir. Okay. What should I call him?
What?
Sam. I'm calling him Sam.
Okay.
Dr. Weir. Okay, I don't know.
Mr. as Lawrence Fishburne called him at one point.
Dr. Weir wakes up and he puts a photo of his wife into what we promptly called his wife shrine. Yeah. It's like 1 million photos of his wife. We will see her a few times later. He says, "I miss you." Lawrence Fishburne is on a ship called the Lewis. I'm not calling him anything but Lawrence Fishburne.
That's fair.
Lawrence Fishburne is on a ship called the Lewis and Clark. They are on a rescue mission. I know. I get it. They are on a rescue mission to see what happened to the Event Horizon. Dr. Weir is on board. They have to go into hypersleep. The crew is kind of rude to him. He's kind of like a kind of skittish and like kind of like a fucking nerd. And the crew has their like good banter. We'll run through who is in the crew in a little bit. I was like, dang, I need to figure out who's in the crew. And then they introduce everyone.
Like, we got you.
Thank you. So they go into hypersleep. Jason Isaacs, he wasn't even on the billing on the Wikipedia page, which is insane to me.
Go in there and edit it right now.
This is kid. This is like a very small cast, and he wasn't included on. What the fuck?
And yet we've gone through, what movie was it where they listed every actor?
Of
Willy's Wonderland.
Had
every actor listed.
I can't believe it. Okay, so he's smoking in space, which we love to see. Confirmed.
Jamie also brought up the fact that Sam Neill has a photo of his wife, just like a glossy.
I know. It's just like this movie did not try to make us feel like we're in the future at all. It was like, we're in the fucking 90s deal. Like, yeah. we're approaching the new millennium.
Respect.
Yeah.
They didn't even think about vapes being a possibility.
So the doctor wakes up. Everyone else is still in hypersleep. And he's walking through and he hears someone calling, his first name is Billy. He hears someone calling Billy. Claire is there. We find out Claire is his dead wife. She has no eyeballs. And she says, I'm waiting. And then he wakes up for real. It was a dream again. Oh. They pulled a lot of it was a dream. I mean, that too, and pretty close. Anyway, okay. Here's the crew. The crew is a blonde British lady named Stark. She is the second in command. Described by Lawrence Fishburne as the funky spaceman. His name is Mr. Cooper. He is a technician. We have Peters, who is the resident medic. Earlier, she was watching footage of a kid at a birthday party on her iPad, essentially. There is a... Oh, we love him. Smitty. I really enjoyed Smitty. There's like a shaved head, like... What was his accent?
British?
Yeah, like British. Shaved head, British accent. Kind of looked like he was wearing guy liner a little bit. He's smoking. Straight up smoking. He is a mechanic. And then Jason Isaacs... His name is DJ, and he calls himself DJ Trauma. Bitch, I'm DJ Trauma. I made this theme song for this podcast. I'm DJ Trauma.
Guys, once everyone gets vaccinated, meet us down at the venue.
Horrorscope pub crawl with DJ Trauma. That would fucking slap. Okay. Yeah, he's the trauma doctor. Right?
Is he the trauma doctor, or is he a doctor with trauma?
After this, why not both? Lawrence Fishburne is the captain. The one guy, he says Event Horizon, and then everyone starts bitching and like yelling, and the one guy's like, you took me off of our break for Event Horizon? And I really respected the crew immediately. Big fan of this whole crew.
None of them wanted to do their jobs.
No.
None of them wanted to be there.
He's like, we were on a nice leave, and then you made us come here, essentially. But the doctor, so we find out that Dr. Weir was on the other ship, and he was on the Event Horizon. He designed the Event Horizon, yeah. And he was on the original crew, and he's the only survivor? No.
He just designed it. He was never on the ship.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they said it worked for... Okay, so he's never been on the ship ever.
He might have been on it before it launched.
Oh, got it, but he wasn't on the mission.
No.
I see. Okay, that makes more sense. He says we can't break the law of relativity, but we can go around it. So he's explaining math, and he says that it's basically a big magnet to fold space-time. He uses a porn magazine cutout, as you must in space, which is just like a woman in a metallic bathing suit. So I guess porn in 2047. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not saying we need more porn in this movie. But what I'm saying is, like, it's just a fucking magazine. Like, it could have been anything. It could have been, like, a plan for... I don't know. Whatever. So Eric says... I haven't seen Interstellar. Eric says that... This is the same explanation from Interstellar of how space works.
Yeah, you take the paper, you put a pencil through, and you like kind of... I think it might just actually be the way to explain that kind of...
He says point A and B are the same in the same space. That's how you did it. I don't understand it. My one brain cell and I are cruising along. Okay? Yeah. Don't try to figure it out. They have one piece of evidence, which is audio of screaming, and then this like crazy roar sound, and then when you slow it down, it's a man chanting in Latin. And he's saying, liberate me. Save me. Jason Isaacs is like, it's Latin.
And it's funny because they had this audio, a room full of scientists
Yeah,
had
and
this
he's
audio.
like, oh, yeah. I wrote down strobe warning. Little did I know it was going to be the rest of the goddamn movie. There's so much strobe in this movie.
It should have been, like, above the title. It should have been, like, Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, and
Strobe light. It's on the head billing. So the ship is shaking. There's strobe, but they can't see anything. They can't get a reading. And then they are about to crash into the event horizon. They're able to stop it right before. Eric said it's shaped like a cross. I kind of think it looked like a sword hilt.
Okay.
Or a guitar.
Okay.
I get it, though. It's supposed to be a cross. And then they're like, okay, we can't track anything on the ship. We can't, like, get a reading off the ship. So Lawrence Fishburne says, okay, then we do it the hard way, which I think is the motto for this whole movie. Dr. Weir really wants to be on the ship with them, and Lawrence Fishburne is pissed, and I love it, is what I have written down.
He starts at, like, 100 and never leaves it.
Never.
He's just always pissed.
So Eric and I, we talked about it. Eric rewatched all of it, but I'm working my way through rewatching Hannibal and Lawrence Fishburne. We both said we would love to have Lawrence Fishburne in a crisis situation because he just handles it well, but he did not handle it well in Hannibal. But we're big fans of that man yelling.
Yeah.
Big fans.
Just, like, imagine, like, you have, like, a trouble with, like, a coworker or, like, some, like, other person. They're just really getting on your nerves. You just want to really yell at them. But it's probably not, it's going to be like, get Lawrence Fishburne to yell for you.
All he does is like, what am I looking at, doctor? That's like all he says in anything.
Yeah.
He says it in Hannibal, direct, same line. He says it here.
Maybe he's the funny guy in Blackish, but I can't. He's always the
He's the grandpa. He's like the grumpy grandpa.
Okay, perfect. I was going to say that's just you can't not.
That's just him. That's just him when he grew a beard and wore a little fedora. Good for him.
When he stopped.
He earned it after this career. So there's a tunnel of stuff in gravity from the nightmare at the beginning that we see, and Lawrence Fishburne says, this place is a tomb. And then an arm moves past his helmet and he yells, oh, fuck me, which I appreciate. There's a floating arm in this tunnel. The Space Mountain tunnel moves through into another chamber. One guy says, looks like a meat grinder to me. Keep that in mind. Ton of strobe. One of the women sees a blood... Stark sees a blood splatter, and she's like, oh, there's some blood in here. And then strobe behind her reveals, like, viscera mashed into the walls, very briefly.
I do really appreciate her, though, saying, oh, it's blood. Because in, like, I feel like I've seen so many other movies where they would have, like, touched the blood.
They, like, lick it. And
yeah,
like, it's blood. She's just like, no, this is probably blood. They have a fucking CD-ROM of the ship log, and it gets stuck. And I'm
Classic.
like, of course. There's a decayed corpse in space floating around, and it doesn't have any eyeballs. Eric pointed out, they're like, what happened to his eyes? When they see him on the screen, it's like, that's a floating dead dude, like, ripped up.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing you
really
notice.
Point out the details.
Yeah. And when the lady looks at him and goes, nah, corpsicle. I feel like we wrote this script a little bit.
And then she put on sunglasses.
So there's a guy named Justin. They call him Baby Bear. He's just like a young puppyish looking dude. I didn't even mention him earlier. I don't even know what he does on this ship. What's his job? He wasn't even in the intro. He's just around.
He was the baby bear.
Well,
he's just going around.
He sticks his arm into. There's a core in the ship. It's like a big rotating ball with whatever. I don't know how to explain it.
It's an orb that rotates, but there are like
rings around
bands around it that kind of rotate around.
They're kind of spiky looking.
Yeah, and eventually it lines up to form a portal.
There's a little bit of liquid floating around, and he touches it with his finger, and then he sticks his arm in. Then he can't unstick his arm in, and then he gets sucked through the portal. The ship starts blowing up. That's flashing. Everything is failing. And their ship, the Lewis and Clark, starts blowing up. And so they have to go into the event horizon. Smitty, our bald, sassy guy, is pissed. He does not want to go into the event horizon. But they end up turning on the gravity in the event horizon, and they board. And Smitty says, sir, we are fucking dead, because they're like gonna run out. When he finds out they have to go into the event horizon, he says, sir, we are fucking dead. And it was a delight. The corpsicle breaks apart in chunks.
It really, I feel like there's a lot of movies that like really try to like force their fucks into lines to make it.
Not this one, yeah.
This one just every line has it, and it's always a delight.
They talked like real people, which I appreciate. Yeah, I think they swore the appropriate amount for this situation. They find out that no one is coming for them, and they only have 20 hours of breathable air left, and it's gonna get worse and worse with CO2 as the day goes on. Remember that. there's like they look at the like mashed up viscera in the thing, and he's like, what happened to your doctor? As we said, he can't explain it. Justin gets pulled back. They have him in the med bay. He is unresponsive to stimuli. He is not even blinking. He's just staring ahead. I wrote down, this is just Among Us. The game, Among Us, you know, the game. That's this, basically. Yeah. So what I thought this whole time was that Dr. Weir was, like, actually evil the whole time. And Eric was like, no, that's not it. And they're talking through the process more. And then Stark is like, so you guys just created a black hole? And he's like, yeah, we did. And then the medbay doctor hears a weird noise, and she grabs a big ass knife, and she's going towards it. She's with Justin in there. And then there's a tent in the middle of the medbay, and the kid from the beginning that she was watching footage of says, Mommy, he has fucked up legs with like lesions and stuff. It cut away really quickly. Eric said that there were maggots in the original cut in his legs. Yeah. He had like fucked up legs. Yeah. Okay. So wait, what version of the... So this is the... Where's the other version? There's no other version. How have people seen it, though? There's a little bit more of extended cuts from, like, deleted scenes that are all poorly transferred. So there's deleted scenes from it. But a lot of it is just, like, verbatim told. Like, this is what was in the movie. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, great. Not great, but glad I got that. I'm glad, yeah. Yeah, so she sees that. Jason Isaacs taps her on the shoulder. She's screaming. She's like, oh, fuck, I saw something. They watch the ship log, and so everyone is great, and they're having a great time, and they're about to turn the thing on, and the captain's like, wow, this is great. Look at my whole crew. Introducing everyone. Awesome. And then we get weird sped-up footage of this is the blood orgy. It was fine! Yeah. Guys, if you were worried about the blood orgy, don't be. And the word gives it way too much weight. You can't even see them having sex. You can't see anything. You can see, like, it looks like there's an arm coming out of a guy's mouth or something. What was that? Guts? Guy's arm. I think it's just arm in the mouth. I don't know what was going on. It doesn't matter. You ever put a fist in your mouth? Is that the saying? Put your hand, what's the word? What's the saying? Put your fist in your mouth. No, it's put your foot in your mouth. Ah, that's what was happening. You'll ever put your fist in your mouth? Okay, Eric. Okay, so there's a guy chanting in Latin holding a handful of eyeballs. It was pretty funny. I thought it was funny. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, it didn't really matter. It was not a big deal. It was sped up like Saw. This movie almost passed the best dual chest, and then it didn't because they only said 2 sentences. I was counting. Oh, the 2 female characters. Yes, but we almost got there. Justin wakes up. He is seizing. The core starts moving. He said he's coming, and they said who? And he says, the dark. Okay, Lawrence Fishburne is in the core. Fire, like, spontaneously starts, and he says, like, a bloody man lit on fire rise out of the liquid. And then he runs back and he's like, I wasn't hallucinating. And then the doctor explains that she saw something happen in the med bay as well. And then Smitty says, you broke all of the laws of physics and you didn't think you'd pay a price? And he starts trying to beat up Dr. Weir. Such a good point. Because this entire time, Weir's been literally, like, there's nothing wrong with the ship. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with having a black hole. It's completely safe. You did his voice there for a second, Erica. That's the only accent I've ever heard you do. Vague New Zealand. Wow! Eric found his niche. Yes! Not doing it ever again. He's from New Zealand, and we were trying to figure out what the accent he was doing, and it's like, it's just his normal voice, I think. Yeah. Yeah. It's what Eric, you just heard it. Eric just did it. You just heard it. Jamie did not just splice in his audio. That came from me. Believe it or not. It's because Dr. Weir's kind of like discrediting what they all say. And so Smitty jumps at him, and then Jason Isaacs like fucking escalates the situation. He almost stabs him in the throat. I thought he was like trying to inject him with something to calm him down, but he's like a fucking shiv. It like through his neck, and he's like, "It's just a hunk of metal," and then he lets him go. And then Lawrence Fishburne's like, "Hey, DJ, you okay?" Obviously not. A lot of that in this movie of just being like, "Hey, you alright?" It's like, no, we have like 15 hours left, like 7 hours left, 2 hours left, etc. Justin goes missing out of the med bay. They hear this like weird, crazy slamming noise, and the doctor is looking for him. She's hearing like it's through the biohazard thing. And then she starts screaming and she runs to the others, and they go into the main chamber, what is that called? Navigation. Thank you, Among Us. Literally, I followed the Among Us map in my brain. They go into the navigation chamber. We play a lot of Among Us.
Watch Among Us zoom out, and it's just the cross. It is the event horizon.
Always has been. We have to edit.
But they're like, look at this, sir, and it's just the Among Us game.
Tell me what I'm looking at, doctor. They are in the navigation chamber. Something is trying to bust like through the hole, and it looks like it's punching in. And then they find out Justin is going into the core. Dr. Weir goes to open the door, and he says, "Let it in." And then he gets shoulder slammed by the British lady, and it kicks ass. And so they're able to talk to Justin. He has locked himself into the airlock, and he says, "Did you hear it? It shows you things. It shows you dark things inside of you, and I won't go back. If you could see the things I've seen, you wouldn't try to stop me."
You wrote all that down.
Eric, I'm not even halfway through.
Oh my gosh. I'm impressed.
And so he presses the button to eject him, and then he has like 20 seconds, and then he snaps out of it, which sucks. And then he's like, "Mama Bear, let me out of here." And she's like, "Baby Bear, no."
Does he snap out of it, or is that like, you know, like when like Pazuzu's like, "It's me actually this time," but they're like kind of faking you out?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay, that sucks.
I don't think so. No, that was him. I think he like snapped out of it.
Oh, okay.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, I had doubts, but if
why? He would have just been like, "Ha ha ha," and let the blood pour out of him, and then like let it be gross if he was being a bad guy.
That's true. Yeah. You're right.
Sucks.
That sucks. Yeah, I just wanted to suck less.
Lawrence Fishburne, oh my god, it was so funny. So Lawrence Fishburne is out on side of the spaceship, fucking sprinting in space, yelling at him, and he's like, the guy's like, "Hey, let me back in," and Lawrence Fishburne's like, "Can't do that, sorry, okay, you're gonna get yeeted into space, okay, prepare," and he's like, "It's starting, my eyeballs," and Lawrence Fishburne's like, "Don't think about it, close them," and he's like running in space.
Fucking the funniest thing. A man is literally
like,
his
blood
eyeballs.
is like pouring out of his eyeballs, and Lawrence Fishburne's like, "Don't think about it, close them." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna catch you outside of the ship." So he's like, "Okay, breathe out all of your air." And so this poor guy goes into space, a la Princess Leia in Star Wars, and then Lawrence Fishburne catches him, and then he is able to bring him back into the ship.
Yeah, arguably would have made Star Wars better if that also happened to Princess Leia.
No, she flew. This guy curled up in a little ball and floated into space so Princess Leia could fly. Okay? He walked so she could run. I wrote down my mans has lost it, aka Dr. Weir, because he was at some point he's in a room with a bunch of circuit boards, and then he
Cool
sees
scene.
his... Yeah, it was cool. There's a lot of this movie, I think it looked surprisingly, like, good. Like, the aesthetic, and then some parts of it were kind of dumb.
When it was practical, great.
Yeah. Yeah, and when it was just the set, great.
Yeah.
But then when it was, like, slow motion sound effect, I was like, okay.
Honestly, I would even say this. I would say even knowing the time crunch for this movie, pretty good.
We gotta talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, insane. That is insane. Oh, I'm almost at the end of my notes. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You're at the event horizon, Jamie.
Oh, no. He... Also, Dr. Weir looks at the core, and then he sees, like, the light circles reflected in his eyeball. And then we were like, oh, okay, he has lost it. That is the point. He also sees his wife again, and she's like, "Okay, I have so many things to show you." And she is in the circuit room with him. Okay. Lawrence Fishburne is walking by himself, and he has a flashback to a crewmate that he watched die. He hears him calling out for him. That is who he saw come out of the fire in the core. He tells Jason Isaacs that he was on a mission and he had to leave this guy behind, and this guy burned alive in front of him. He saw like fire and space and whatever. Jason Isaacs has translated the tape. Translated, not translated. Transylvania.
The salt mines.
Jason Isaacs has translated the tape, saying it's not save me, it's save yourself, and then it's from hell. Surprise of all surprise, they have fixed the ship. Meanwhile, they've actually fixed the ship. They find footage. Oh, this is when they find footage of the blood orgy. What happened earlier?
They found it earlier, but then they actually like...
Oh, they show us more of it.
Yeah.
They like watch it as a group.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, they watch it. Yeah. And then they're like, "All right, fuck this. We need to get our shit together. We need to get it back on the other ship, and we need to get out of here." And there's been like a few meltdowns throughout here, and like yelling, and Dr. Weir kind of being creepy and weird, and them being like yelling and freaking out at him, and people hallucinating stuff. Right?
It's kind of funny because they start off being antagonistic towards him, and then it's like they continue that
They're like, why the fuck are you so creepy to this guy?
And but they just become more and more justified in their actions.
They're like, hey, we were right about you. We were kind of being dicks before, but we were right. So Dr. Weir says to Lawrence Fishburne, he says, you can't leave. We have a mission here. We need to stay. And then he's like, incorrect. Fuck you. We are getting back on the ship. He says, you can't leave. She won't let you. And then Lawrence Fishburne says, get back, get your shit and get on the ship or you're going to find yourself walking home. And he says, I am home. And then he backs into the shadows. Lawrence Fishburne is not paying attention. He's like, whatever.
It kind of sucks for Sam Neill. He's like, oh, I'm going to go into the shadow. Oh, he wasn't watching. He was like, fuck. Should I go? No.
And then the doctor who saw her son earlier and our bald-headed sassy friend are grabbing air canisters out of the space tunnel pit to bring back onto the ship. And then Smitty is really freaking out and he's like, I need to get the fuck off of here. So he leaves and then she hears her son calling for her and then she sees him running in the core of the Event Horizon room. And so then we see the zoom in of the lights on her eyeball. She's done. So she drops all of her stuff. She runs towards him. She's trying to see him. And it's strobing like fucking crazy. It is a nightmare. I literally was squinting through half of this. I was wishing I had tiny sunglasses a la Lawrence Fishburne in The Matrix because I was just like, I cannot see what is going on. So she comes through and then it was so funny because she's moving through a hallway and then she looks into I don't know, it's a space where whatever, it's a little inlet of the wall. And then Eric's like, oh, it looks like a coffin. And then it lights up and it's an immediate cut to a very obvious coffin. And then it cuts again and then the dead kid is in the coffin. It's oh, shit. I get it.
Sorry for thinking this movie would have been a little bit more subtle.
And she reaches out to him, but then she ends up falling through. She falls down to the core. She lands. She's bleeding. You see her breathe, and then she dies. And then she's bleeding out of her eyeballs a little bit. Dr. Weir finds her in the core. He's upset to see her. He's like, oh no, you're here. Fuck, that sucks. And then he hallucinates that he's back in his house and that he's home. And his wife is moving through her routine in their house. She's putting on a ton of lip liner. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry I worked so much. I wasn't around for you when you needed me. And then she takes off her robe and gets in the bathtub and slits her wrists.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't need to see that. I get it.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to her. It flashes up to her and the bathtub is bloody and she killed herself. So the idea is he was working too much and she was going through some shit. She killed herself. He wasn't there. And he's saying, no, please don't go. And then he turns and then she is standing there and then she's like, don't worry, I'm here with you and we'll be together forever.
Yeah.
And I have so many things to show you. And then she has no eyeballs again. It's a bad effect.
Yeah.
The eyeball effect really could have been improved. I don't know.
I think that line might be, that variation of that line is directly from Hellraiser.
I have so many things to show you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got the Hellraiser thing by the end.
Yeah.
I kind of got it.
This movie was definitely, just really pumping out the references. We'll get to a point of The Shining, but,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. At that point, he is still in the hole, obviously, because he was hallucinating. He starts ripping his own eyeballs out, and then it zooms away. Lawrence Fishburne figures out that a bomb is missing and Dr. Weir is skulking about and that he has planted a bomb inside the Lewis and Clark. Smitty finds the bomb. He finds it with only 4 seconds to go or something like that. So he's like, oh no. He blows up. The other guy, the funky spaceman, as described, he goes hurtling into space in his spacesuit.
Wait, David Bowie's in this movie?
Literally the part that we were talking about earlier. So he's hurtling into space. He's like, oh Jesus, what am I going to do? Why does this always happen to me? He says. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to use my air canisters and I'm going to go back towards them. And then he figures it out and he blasts off and then he disappears and it's very comical. And he goes, what does he say? He's like, I'm coming, motherfuckers!
Yeah, here I come, motherfuckers.
Here I come, motherfuckers! And he blasts off and it is hilarious and we will post a screenshot. Okay. Lawrence Fishburne is ready to rumble. He is pissed. He is going to try find the guy. He's walking through the ship. He's talking to DJ, who is Jason Isaacs, and then Jason Isaacs is like, don't worry, I'm gonna fucking find him. And he's holding a scalpel. Too late! He gets throat grabbed by Dr. Weir, who now has his eyeballs popped out and there's blood all over his face. And then he gets thrown by his throat and then he gets thrown on an operating table and then he is unconscious, but then Dr. Weir grabs a scalpel and starts cutting into him. You don't see anything. You just see his hand go red, and then Jason Isaacs spits up some blood.
Yeah, he's already knocked out.
And then he died. And then Lawrence Fishburne comes into the med bay, and then he sees that Jason Isaacs has been some real Hannibal shit for real. He is, like, suspended on hooks. His guts are hanging out in front of him on the table. Eric pointed out we got a little bit of the Midsummer
Blood eagle.
Blood eagling. Yeah, it's gross. I mean, it shouldn't really happen. It happened really quick, though.
Yeah, I'm assuming the original cut probably maybe...
Almost certainly. And Lawrence Fishburne's like...
You passed over an important part, is that now that Sam Neill has hell strength.
Oh, yeah, he has hell strength. I don't know. Yeah, he just picked him up by his throat and just chucked him. So, yeah, we refer to it as hell strength. It's a feat that you can take at your third level of being a warlock, I guess?
Yeah. Sam Neill's definitely a warlock.
I ran out of stuff. That was where my notes end. Okay.
Before the class.
I was watching. I was too busy. Okay. Oh, fuck me. Okay. So, Lawrence Fishburne grabs a fucking gun. And he's like, I'm going to go shoot this dude, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's like giving a little monologue to himself. And he goes into, this is what happens. He goes into the navigation chamber, and then he finds Stark, and he wakes her up with like smelling salts. She's passed out. Her head is bloodied. But he wakes her up, and then the gamer chair, as we called it, the navigation chair turns around, and Sam Weir is there. And now it looks like his eyes are sewn shut.
Yeah.
And he's like more bloody. And then Lawrence Fishburne's like, oh my god! It is so funny.
Oh my god.
Gross.
Dr. Weir has a crazy speech. I'm going to cut it in. There's no way I can replicate it. He's just basically like, where we're going, we don't need eyes.
Where we're going, we won't need eyes to see. I created the event horizon to reach the stars. But she's gone much, much farther than that.
Which I thought was really dumb.
Yeah.
I know that's like an iconic line.
Because then he immediately starts doing things that require eyes.
Yeah. He has hell strength now. Hell strength, hell sight. And basically Lawrence Fishburne is talking to him and trying to distract him. And Stark runs up and tries to slam him in the head, and then she gets throat thrown. And then he is like, we're going to hell. So they've talked about it a few times. Obviously, okay, the ship opened up another dimension and it made a portal to hell. Mm-hmm. I thought that Dr. Weir was trying to get back because he was trying to like somehow get his wife back.
Oh.
Did you think that?
No.
Really? I thought he was like, that's why he wanted to go back, was to see if he could try like connect with his wife because she was dead, but he knew there was another dimension or something.
I don't think he knew. I think that like he was like more susceptible to be corrupted by the hell.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
He was just, yeah. Okay. So, ooh, I'm going to keep that one to myself. Inside thoughts. I was just going to say that's what religion does. You like get a widower and you're like, yeah, you need Jesus. Upon threat of hell. So what happens now is that he grabs the gun. He's going to shoot Lawrence Fishburne, and then we hear ding, 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 tapping on the glass. The guy is here from space.
Funky spaceman. He's like, I did it. Yeah. I made it.
He's like outside the window, and then he's like, oh, fuck, because he sees his face. And Dr. Weir shoots him through the glass. He gets propelled backwards into space again.
Not pierced, which is what I thought was going
to
happen.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh my god, I thought it was going to like shoot him through the head or something.
Yeah.
No, it just makes a puncture in the hole, and then the atmosphere busts out, and then Dr. Weir gets sucked into space, and then Lawrence Fishburne is like doing this. It's strobing again. Surprise.
Strobing, sparks, fire, fog.
There was a lot going on.
These four elements.
Make a movie in 1997. Lawrence Fishburne's like pulling himself back through with a cable, but then he hears that Stark is stuck and she's crying out for him, and then he's like, I'm not leaving you again, and then the door is closing, and I thought, I was like, his arm is done so. Like, it's gonna chop his arm off and she's gonna get stuck in there and sucked into space. 100%, that's what I thought. No, it's not. He's able to pull her through. They're doing great. And then, what the fuck happens? Now what happens?
Then... what part do they... Oh, he figures out the funky spaceman somehow gets to the...
is it right after that?
Airlock. Yes, because he gets the airlock, he comes in, So he's safe, and then Lawrence Fishburne, and Stark, and Funky Spaceman are like, all right.
That's right. She's like holding him. It's so funny. She's like, it's okay. It's all good now. And Lawrence Fishburne's like, no, it is not all good now. Actually, it's not good. That's okay. Yes, because they find out that Dr. Weir set a timer. They have 10 minutes before the portal opens. Yes, okay. So then their plan is they're going to blow the whole ship up, and they're going to shoot themselves out through the safety boat, basically. So they're gonna blow the whole thing up and be propelled back to safety in the escape pod. Safety boat? They called it like a lifeboat. Yeah. It's like a an escape pod. In every other form of media, it is an escape pod.
But it technically isn't, because it is blowing it up to create a separate vehicle.
I know, but they called it a lifeboat. I was like, it's not a boat.
What part of this movie makes sense that it's going to be updated for proper terminology?
You know what?
Could you believe that Star Wars came out 20 years before this?
I would have liked to see Yoda in this movie, and that's all I'll say.
Oh, hell I see.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay, we gotta go. That's my Yoda voice. I like it. No. Okay, so that's their plan, and they're sticking to it. And Lawrence Fishburne ends up in the core for some reason, and then Dr. Weir is back! And now he absolutely looks like Hellraiser.
Lawrence Fishburne, he's like, all right, I'm going to blow up the core, and then that way it's gonna break it apart.
That's right.
So he's on like a suicide mission. Oh wait, no, he's gonna blow up the bridge, but then it gets face to face with his past demon fire guy.
Yes, okay. And he tells her, she's like, she doesn't want to let him go, and he's like, close the door after me, and she's like, okay. So he does, and then he's face to face with the dude, rises up out of the water, and it's the like charred, bloody dude, and he's like, you left me behind. He's like, you're not real, actually. I watched you die. And then it turns into Dr. Weir, a.k.a. from Hellraiser, a.k.a. his eyeballs are back in his head, a.k.a. he's like all slashed up. Yeah. It wasn't that bad. It was kind of stupid. Oh, why is that face?
Well, there's a reason why it's stupid.
But... I can't wait. Okay, great. So then he has hell strength again. He's yossing him around, and he's like, okay, we are all going to hell now. And hell is just a word, and it's much worse than you can imagine, and I can't wait, and everyone's going. And then Lawrence Fishburne gets visions of his whole crew being, like, tortured, like being like head impaled a la Paris Hilton in House of Wax. Oh yeah, wow. Maggots on the one lady, like blood. Yeah, I don't know, just like really quick shots, and it was stupid. It was zooming in and out like Saw, exactly like Saw, like you said. I didn't think it was that bad. It was just kind of dumb. I was like, no, yeah, I don't see that. Also, there's meanwhile other crew members. There's a ton of blood. There's like blood rushing into the ship, and then it busts through. There's, like, this cool part of the set that's, like cylinders filled with water. And then, what is that called? It's like a tank, like the tanks that they're in. They're
Deprivation tanks?
Yeah, kind of. So, similar to that, but then it, like, fills up with blood. And then, like you said, The Shining, like, there's just, like, a giant blood explosion. And it, like, washes them up. And now Stark is all covered in blood. So Lawrence Fishburne is like, this sucks. I don't want to go to hell. So he reaches through fire while he's having like visions of his crew hurting, because he says, take me. The guy's like, they're not your crew anymore. They belong to the ship and we're all going. Too bad. So he reaches through the fire and he grabs the bomb. He's like, I do see. And then he says something cool. I don't remember what it was.
It wasn't even that cool.
Yeah, it was fine. It was just like, whatever. And then he's like,
because I had the better line.
I know! Eric was like,
see you in hell.
That would have been...
It's there.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot also when they're fighting with the hell strength, there's like stupid ass sound effects like boom, boom, dunk, 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 wah, pa, 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 pa. Like,
you've never been in space, Jamie. You don't know what it sounds like.
I hate the 90s.
It sounds like a cartoon.
I hate the 90s. When was Aliens made?
86.
I hate that. I hate that period of time with the soundtracks they made and the fucking sound effects.
Award-winning
sound effects. Hate it. It's bad. Lawrence Fishburne blows them up, and Dr. Weir's like, no! And then they blow up, and then the crew gets propelled the other way. Fuck yeah, they made it. They lived. They're like, oh, it sucks. Lawrence Fishburne died. Then everything blows up behind them. And so then it's 72 days later, and there's another rescue mission, and we joked it was just Event Horizon 2. And they come into the room, and Stark wakes up out of the sleep, and the guy's like, it's okay, you're safe now. And then it pops the... I was gonna say he pops the hood. He does pop the hood. He pops the hood of his helmet.
Yeah.
And it's weird with his fucking weird.
Oh.
His like weird slashed up face. He's like, hey, I don't remember what he says. And then she starts screaming, and then that's another hallucination. And then the guy's yelling, we need to get her sedated in here, and the other guy is holding her so he's not seeing it. She's just screaming.
Yeah.
Literally the end of the movie, the Prodigy song starts playing. Event Horizon.
Also, Justin lived, kind of.
Oh yeah, Justin lived. Yeah, he was just like, yeah, he's really injured. We'll just throw him in this tank and stuff. Honestly, so he saw all of hell.
He just went into there, yeah.
So he was just in hell for a long time.
For who knows what time is like between those two realms.
That sucks.
That's a whole ass movie.
The worst situation.
Yeah.
I would say. The end. Event Horizon.
Yeah.
Tell me about all the things I said were stupid.
All right, so this movie was made for $60 million.
That is so much money.
How much do you think this movie made, though?
Not a lot.
$42 million.
$20 million.
Hate to see it. It did not do well in
It
theaters.
did not need that much money.
Yeah, it is a crazy amount of money to spend in that short period of time.
So,
I think
okay,
it all went to the
you said
effects
10 weeks.
Let me
from start to
pull
finish.
up the Wikipedia again.
That
real
is
quick,
insane.
but I'm pretty sure. 10-week editing period. However, due to the short production time, filming rapidly approached the date. The fact of principal photography had not yet finished. 6 weeks to edit the movie together.
Oh my god. That's such a nightmare. They just threw a bunch of money at like a few weeks and we're like, make this wild movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me I want to know about the ending before we get into all that.
So the ending is an amalgamation, apparently, of a few things. Apparently, the original ending, Lawrence Fishburne just fights Fire Dude, and then blows up. There's no Weir in Scars.
Okay.
And then she wakes up on the ship and continues to hear the crew screaming in hell, and then she goes crazy. So the Weir and like the cut up makeup and stuff like that is like additional stuff added to it to like beef up the ending.
It would have been good without that. So the idea is that she went crazy?
Yeah, she's probably just... Well, I think it's her... It's either her having, like, remnants of hell or her just, like, losing it because of everything that happened.
But she didn't even hear the other people. She just saw him again.
What?
She just saw Weir again. She didn't hear screaming from hell. There wasn't that
the
effect.
other edit, yeah.
The other edit. That would have been better.
Because
that would have been way better.
It doesn't make any sense that she would see Weir in that makeup because she never saw him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, he was in...
He never had that makeup. He only showed up at the end.
So
and that's also
dumb.
why it's dumb, too, because the explanation, too, was like, Lawrence Fishburne sees the fire guy. He's like, oh, you're not really you. And he's like, actually, I am Weir. I was reborn again.
He's like, the ship brought me back.
Yeah,
Ooh. Like, okay, I get it, but like...
And like, this is the best the ship can do for you, bud, is just kind of cut up your skin a little bit. It's like the worst Cenobite makeup I've seen.
That ending sucked. The ending was bad.
Kind of, like, I think the...
Super anticlimactic.
The hell portal, because they do show, like, rings, like, circle rings, as if, like, hell, I guess, is opening up.
Yeah.
And then, like when it blows up, it turns into, like, a black hole on Neptune, which I'm sure is going to have greater ramifications later on if you open up a black hole on Neptune. Just saying. Anyways, but yeah.
Especially if people are, like, on Mars and stuff.
Yeah.
They were like, that was our next development.
Watch Event Horizon 2 being, like, open, it's, like, 10 minutes long. It's just like, by the way, the universe is actually destroyed because they blew up Neptune.
All I was thinking is the line from SpongeBob that you used me for land development. That's the plot of the second one.
Yes.
Yeah, that ending sucked, but it was a bad ending.
Yeah. Didn't need it.
Man, okay, so I was coming into this movie with, like, expectations of other things from, like, the conversation I've heard about it. Like, I've read the Reddit thread about this movie, and I thought he was going after his wife and trying to bring her back. And then a bunch of people said the ending was, like, horrible and, like, dreadful, and you were like, oh, Jesus, oh, God, it's so bad.
It's just the blood orgy scene. That's all people are talking about.
That wasn't even that bad either, thank God.
Yeah.
You couldn't even see them having sex. I could not.
But people are so obsessed with the lost footage and also obsessed with horror and gore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's like clips where you can find where they slow down that footage and they freeze frame.
Oh my God, fucking relax, guys.
Because they're just like desperately trying to see this stuff. And so like that's I think that where a lot of that conversation is happening is people just hyper fixating on that scene.
That
because
makes sense.
in actuality and in actual practice, if you're just a casual viewer,
No way, yeah.
you're just like, okay.
I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I'll say that, I didn't love it, but I have seen for this podcast much worse.
Yeah, which is when I first initially, we were like, let's do it. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, wait, this is nothing. We've seen House of Wax.
Yeah, this is really nothing compared to House of Wax.
Midsummer has more long lingering
it really
shots.
Does. Yeah, it really does. Yeah, this wasn't. It was mostly silly. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised. Okay, so did very poorly. Obviously,
had a huge
unsurprised
DVD release though, because that's the thing. If you're like looking for like a Saturday night movie and somebody's like, oh, it's like a horror movie in space, it's like, okay, that sounds fun.
The concept is amazing. The concept slaps. I don't think so. Like talking about, do you have anything about like the religious part of the movie, or we're just gonna?
The ship is actually based on the Notre Dame Cathedral, and they actually used the structure.
Oh wait, yes, it does look like that. It looks like from the overhead view of the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And they pretty much took various components of the cathedral
and
like worked it into the.
That's awesome. That's really smart. I was thinking that the tunnel, like the huge yellow tunnel he runs through, it looks like stained glass.
Yeah.
The whole time. I feel like they didn't. Okay, tell me more. Is there anything else?
That's pretty much it. Other than it took 7 hours for Sam Neill to get into that final makeup of him being all scarred up.
Bro, it sucks.
Tragic.
It was so dumb. Like Jesus. Okay. So, yeah, speaking of Jesus again, I think that I think this movie just gave us a bunch of stuff and was like, what do you think about all this? Anyway, movie's over. So like I really think it suffered from the editing, obviously, because it just like lost kind of its like footing a little bit.
It kind of had a good start up, but then like I think
it had a really strong
like
premise.
Sam Neill goes crazy so quickly
for no reason. I wish you could have seen like something happen to him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't get that turn. We didn't get a protagonist, which felt really weird. Lawrence Fishburne is technically the protagonist. Yeah. But then the movie doesn't end with him. So it's just like and it's like, oh, we're supposed to care about Stark more than anyone? She was barely in the movie.
I am shocked on who lived in the end. Justin, Funky Spaceman, and Stark. I'm like, these people?
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh yeah, I remember she lives. Because I've watched the ending before, but I didn't understand it. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Because people had said the ending was like, ugh, so awful, and you just feel like awful after watching this movie. I feel fine!
When Prodigy starts? Is that what...
I gotta put some of that song in here. Yeah, it just like it just literally gave us a bunch of ideas. Like, this is about religion and hell, and it's a haunted house, and it's on a ship, and the ship is alive, and this guy's crazy, and his wife is dead, and all these people have trauma, except only really one lady has trauma. And then, so I had read that her kid had cancer or something and died.
That might have been in more details, but was not shown in the movie.
No, so it's just like, oh, my kid's legs are fucked up, and now I'm gonna throw myself off this bridge. It was just like, I think if they had leaned into like everyone had individual trauma on the ship and they like saw it,
so that's Annihilation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just want Annihilation in space and religious.
I mean, yes, I do. Yes, that sounds amazing. Yes,
Alex
I want
Garland
that movie.
making this movie.
Yes, exactly. It just was like, I don't know. It just felt like it's like, oh, time for trauma to be bad. Here's your time for trauma, but some of you don't have it. Like, there were a lot of characters that we didn't really get to know. The, like, baby bear guy, we didn't get to see any of their relationships. You know, like all the banter the Marines have in Aliens? I think we could have used a little bit of that here. They
were just jumping around so much, and they focused a little bit too much on Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill, I think, in the beginning.
I think so, too. I think...
Because they were really setting up Sam Neill in the beginning for him just to end up being a crazy person who dies.
Yes,
like
it
10
felt
minutes
very
before the end
weird.
of the movie.
I feel like he should have taken to mix. Oh man, we're talking about all the movies we've watched. In like Alien, like the role Ash had of like kind of ominously background dude who then fucks it all up. Spoilers for Alien. I wish he had done that. You know, like he had taken more of like this guy's kind of weird. What's his deal? You know, he's brought on as the specialist, but we're introduced first to the crew. Mm-hmm. I think that would have been better because it set Sam Neill up as our protagonist. and then abandoned him, and then switched to Lawrence Fishburne, kind of, but not really.
And then abandoned him.
And then abandoned him! So it's just like, who the fuck are we supposed to be rooting for in this movie? Like, obviously Lawrence Fishburne, but, you know, like, we didn't get to know... I feel like I didn't know anything about the characters.
Yeah.
I feel like what would have been better is we get introduced... Here's my pitch. We get introduced to the crew on their break, and they're on their leave somewhere, and they're having a great time, and then we get to meet all of them and see the established dynamics, and then they get like a call on that break.
Ooh, they're on the beach. The helicopter
comes
down.
They're like drinking out of a coconut.
Yeah,
like they're having a blast, and then they get called out of their leave, and then they have to go. And then we learn more about them as they're getting called in, and then they get briefed, and then they meet, and then it basically unfolds the same way. Mm-hmm. But that would have given us just a little bit of time to get to know them, because we did not. And it could have been about Stark. She was cool. I liked her a lot. I would have loved if this movie had a lady protagonist.
I would
have slapped.
I feel like, yeah, I don't know if it's because of how it was rated or if it's because of who they're able to get on board. Because it feels like they definitely if they had a lesser known actor in the Sam Neill role, they would have downplayed that role and they could have upplayed Stark's role. But I feel like since they got Sam Neill, they're like, we got to use him.
I see.
It
would have been great if that was like sleeper, like you didn't know in the trailers or anything. Like, that wasn't alluded to at all. And then he's like... Because I felt like his motivation was really confusing. So he just went crazy. And then his motivation was to bring them all to hell. But then why did the ship... I mean, he made the ship, I guess. So that's why it chose him.
Yeah. And he's the most susceptible, I guess, too.
But I definitely think we could have gotten a lot more of the ship being alive. Like, they mentioned that it's alive. There were no, like...
So that's a holdover, too, from the original script, I think.
Ooh.
Because in the original script, it is supposed to be like an alien consciousness that has taken over the ship.
I don't like that.
And so that neither did Paul, as now we know him, just Paul.
Now we just know him.
Once we watch a movie from a director, we can just refer to them as their first names.
Paul.
So Paul W.S. Anderson didn't like that either, and so then that's when he wrote out the alien and put more of the demon stuff into it.
Okay, that would have been good, but I think we definitely could have had more like organic elements on the ship.
Like the ship like mutating to become
yes.
alive.
Well, we had the like viscera wall. Give me some more of the viscera wall.
Yeah.
Oops, just give me the mushroom wall from Annihilation. It all comes back.
We just want to make Annihilation in space.
Yes! I mean, like, we could have gotten more elements of, like, the ship design kicked ass. It was super cool, but we could have had more, like, organic, gross, fleshy parts of the ship or something, or, like, I don't know. There's, like, a heart of the ship or something like that, or, like, you're seeing that it's alive in some way, or, like, the ship is breathing, or you see things moving in a weird way, or,
I think
you know?
Like, with the space hell genre, it seems that a lot of people always take it to be, like, either very gross and scary, or, like, very, like action-packed, which just maybe kind of balances both a little bit. But what you really, the thing that you really need, especially if you want to like focus on like religious aspects, is that you need to take your time with it. You need to be a little bit more introspective with it.
Yeah.
You need to have those like slow kind of pace to it. You need to slowly show like this, like what you're talking about, like the ship turning
and like
and
people
going
like
crazy.
losing faith. Like there was no
Yes.
element of faith in the movie. Like no one was established to be like a believer who loses their faith, which I think is like crucial in movies like this. That didn't happen.
Because the Alien franchise deals with that sometimes too, where suddenly you have religious aspects, and then it's like, cool, religion, you meet the alien, that looks like a devil, what do you do with that? And none of the Alien movies actually like properly execute it. They always fuck it up in some way.
I feel like it's maybe abstract enough in Alien, at least the two that I have seen, that it's not like there's like, I don't know. This movie is very, I mean, it's about hell. It's literally about hell. So it's like, we're not going to talk about, it didn't even talk about religion. It didn't talk about belief. It didn't talk about like losing. It didn't talk about anything. It just showed us people, but it didn't like show us them feeling it. It just showed it happening and then being like, oh, that sucks. You know, like we didn't get a sense of like loss or understanding or anything like that from any of the characters. We didn't get to know them well enough. So
it's
weird.
for the concept, it's for the spectacle, which I think is like, that's his like trademark. You know, you got Mortal Kombat or like an Alien versus Predator. You're focusing on the concept there. You're not
but
really
it's
focusing
so weird. Like you didn't need to throw in like weird hell, religious cross church, fucking coffin kid shit. You didn't need to throw any of that in here.
But I'm kind of glad that they did.
I'm glad they did too, but it was just like kind of tacky. You know, it wasn't like they didn't commit. There was no this movie could have been like very dreadful, and I think some people do feel that way about this movie, but I didn't, not even close. And I am very good. I'm DJ Trauma. I'm great at feeling dread, and I just did not. None of it. This movie did not reach me.
Yeah.
Take that, hell.
Ooh.
We kind of hopped all over the place about what we liked and what we didn't like, which I think is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that we didn't cover?
No, I mean we covered it. I mean, I'll give it. I think that when you do space horror, it is pretty much like almost impossible to do something original because everything's been done so far. Except for like we're kind of breaching right now. What we're doing is like just straight up realistic space because we're gone to the point where we have like a more grounded concept.
Do you mean we as a people? We as a culture?
Like Hollywood.
I thought I meant you and I.
You and me. Hollywood has got like the genre right now of space is like Interstellar or like
hard science.
Where it's just like, yeah, it's just like this is practically, if we were to do this is what it would look like. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's pretty believable because we're already kind of getting to that point. But like, and then because like Alien and Star Wars established kind of the grimy space universe of it all.
Yeah.
Which this movie's kind of borrowing from, and then like, or you try to go to the more sci-fi way, which a lot of things don't tend to do that. And my point is that I feel like this movie, at least, even though it does not utilize the religious elements, at least taking that inspiration from like the Notre Dame and stuff like that, gave it a little bit of a unique flavor on top of the kind of alien aesthetic that it has to set it apart.
I would say that if they weren't literally dealing with hell, I would agree too. But they really committed to the,
I'm not even talking. I'm just literally just talking about sets. Like if you.
The set kicked ass.
Yeah,
I really
that's all I'm talking about. I'm not talking about any of the themes or anything like that. That could be. This movie, like you said, has like the structure and the idea to be. It's primed for a remake. There's so many good remakes you can make of this, but there's so many remakes you can make that are worse than this.
Yeah, I think it sits at like a solid. Ooh, you hate to say a C+.
Oh well, that's a
B-.
That's an official rating from Horrorscope Podcast.
We've never done it. We never will do it again. I don't know, right? Like
yeah, this was surprisingly kind of. You always get on me when I say these things, but it's like an enjoyable time. I thought it was
just because we were being dumb.
I think even if I watched it by myself, I'd probably have a good time with it, just because the characters being fed up with their jobs.
I wouldn't.
Right.
We were just being the AMC guy throwing popcorn the whole time. We just get rowdy when we watch these sometimes. We've said it before. It's the hidden podcast.
Look at that. We've carried the energy through this movie. Take that, Event Horizon.
Yeah. Fuck it. Yeah, this movie was Black Christmas was my Event Horizon. This is nothing. I'm gonna give it like a 3 on. I'm gonna give it like a 2 on scares.
Yeah.
There were a few jump scares that got me. There's like one clip of like gore really quick that I hated for no reason. In the beginning, there's just a random like someone screaming covered in blood, and I was like, I didn't like that. No way. There were like a lot of jump scares in the beginning. Huge strobe warning for this movie. Honestly, if you don't like strobe or it's not good for you, just don't even watch it. You're fine. You're good. You listened to it already. Don't even watch it. But I think I'd give it like a 2 on scares. I think if you saw that stuff more, maybe like a 3. I'll get like a 3 because of the Jason Isaac death was pretty bad. But I am not lingeringly scared. I am not filled with dread. I am not none of that. I'm fine. It was fine. It wasn't that scary. It was just kind of wild. And it was fine. It was a fine movie. Would love a remake. Transylvania, if you're listening.
From the Transylvania Salt
Release
Mines.
The tapes.
Transylvania Salt Mines sounds like a really good late 90s folk indie band.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be us for the next Event Horizon. We'll make the song.
Yeah, it'd be DJ Trauma with opening act Transylvania Salt Mines. And that's the end of our episode. Please subscribe and drop us a review if you haven't already. Also follow us on Instagram at Horrorscope Pod with 1D and at Twitter at Horrorscope Pod with 2Ds for new episode announcements, news, artwork, and more. Your horoscope for the day is: be careful putting space between you and others. You never know what that void can welcome.